Are you tired of killing your houseplants? Houseplants are so easy to grow if you just follow some simple rules. The problem is that the internet is just full of information that is incorrect. There are so many myths about growing houseplants, and if you follow the advice online, you're going to kill houseplants. In this program, I'm going to go through 10 common myths that you should never follow. If you follow my advice, you'll have an easier time growing houseplants.
Myth number 1. Make your plant leaves shiny with mayonnaise. There are a host of home products that people use on their leaves to make them shiny, including egg whites, milk, yogurt, vinegar, and there are many commercial products as well. These products do not do any significant harm to plants, but they are also not good for them. Anything that leaves an oily layer will attract dust and maybe even pests. It will clog the stomata openings in the leaves, making it more difficult for leaves to exchange gases with the air, and it reduces the amount of light getting to the leaf. Leaves do not need to be shiny. Learn to enjoy the natural leaf color. If you want to clean the dust off, use a soft cotton rag and a bit of water. Myth number 2. Houseplants purify the air in your home. This is a very common myth, and many sites will give you a list of the 10 best plants to purify air. Well, take some time and look at those lists. You'll find that everyone has a different list. There is no such thing as the 10 best plants to purify air. The truth is that plants do remove some VOCs from the air in your home. VOCs are volatile organic compounds, and some of them are harmful to you. But the amount they remove is so small compared to the amount that your house is producing. This is probably a surprise to you, but your carpet, the paint on your walls, that artificial wood that's used in your cupboards, the stain on your cupboards, artificial flooring, the furniture you have, your deodorant, all kinds of things in your house produce VOCs, and they're producing them at a much higher rate than plants can remove. All the studies so far are quite clear. Houseplants do not purify the air in your home. Myth number 3. Plants add oxygen to the air in your home. You probably understand what photosynthesis is. Plants take CO2 from the air, make sugars, and release oxygen. They give off oxygen. And that part is true. But the amount of oxygen they produce is so small compared to the amount of oxygen you use. It has no effect on the oxygen level in a home. Houseplants really don't change the oxygen or the CO2 level in our homes. So unless you're living in a greenhouse, the oxygen level will not go up. Myth number 4. Don't keep plants in the bedroom at night. One thing that a lot of people don't know is that plants are continually giving off CO2. Now, they use CO2 during the day when the light is out in photosynthesis, but all day and night they're also releasing CO2 in a process called respiration. That's when they use up the sugars to do things inside the plant. So they're always producing some CO2. And there's a concern that if you have plants in your bedroom at night, they'll produce so much CO2 that you'll suffocate. And in fact, hospitals used to take the plants out of patient rooms because of that concern. Well, the reality is that plants do produce CO2 at night. But again, the amount is so small that it doesn't affect the amount in the air. Plants will not suffocate you at night, so just leave them in the bedroom. Myth number 5. Most indoor plants go dormant in winter. This is not true. Most indoor plants are native to the tropics where it's warm all year long, so they tend to grow all year long. These areas do have dry and wet seasons, so watering can affect their growth. In temperate climates, the amount of light is much reduced in winter, and that can slow down growth, but it doesn't stop. Since our homes tend to be warm all year long, just like the tropics, our houseplants grow all season long. Myth number 6. Plants only need water, light, and air to grow. I found this comment on the internet. I'm in the anti-chemical camp. From my experience, plants only need water, light, and fresh air to thrive. Well, that's complete nonsense. Plants need basic nutrients or they can't grow. Now, these nutrients don't have to come from synthetic fertilizer, although that is the best source for houseplants. It can come from organic fertilizer like manure, water, or from the soil, but it has to come from somewhere. That is Biology 101. Plants grow better, have less diseases and pests if they get the right amount of nutrients. Myth number 7. Low-light plants do well in a dark corner. Some houseplants are labeled as low-light plants, and they are promoted as not needing much light. These plants will survive with very little light, but they will do much better with more light. Plants are very adaptable, and they can survive a long time in poor condition. It can take many months or even years before a plant dies, but if it does not get enough light, it will eventually die. If you place these low-light plants in a bit more light, they really thrive. Myth number 8. Some plants are just indoor plants. Well, I have news for you. There's no such thing as indoor plants. All houseplants want to be outside in the right growing conditions. What we call indoor plants are plants that can survive in low light, low humidity, and can take the abuse of having their roots confined to a small pot. Try to put your indoor plants outside for part of the year. They will grow much better, and usually they'll flower a lot more. Myth number 9. Misting a plant increases humidity. Well, this is sort of true, but not as true as you might think. Misting does increase the humidity around a plant, but it only lasts a couple of minutes. You can see this for yourself. Mist your plants and see how long it takes for the water droplets to dry. Once they are gone, the higher humidity is also gone. Unless you're prepared to mist every 15 minutes, this does nothing to raise humidity, but it might increase fungal diseases. Myth number 10. Pebble trays increase humidity. This is a very common myth I see all over the internet, and it's wrong in almost all cases. As water evaporates from the tray, it does increase the humidity right above the tray, and a small amount of that will reach the top of the pot. But your plant is high and dry, quite literally. Humidity trays do not work. Anything that's more than 4 or 5 inches above that tray will be dry. Now, placing plants in an enclosure like an aquarium, that does increase humidity, but that's because the humidity can't escape the aquarium except at the top, and so it does fill with moisture. The problem with this environment is that it also leads to diseases for most plants. Now, there are a couple specialty plants that grow well in an aquarium or a closed container, but most plants do not do well there. So how do you increase humidity? You have to increase the humidity in the whole house. That's the only way you'll increase the humidity for your houseplants. So that's your 10 myths, but I have a bonus myth for you. Let's talk about used potting soil. Should it be discarded? Potting soil does not get old. It does not go bad. You can reuse that potting soil over and over again. Now, if you have hard water, you might get calcium deposits on the top layer of that soil. And so what you should do is scrape an inch of soil away, discard that, but use the rest of the soil. Our potting soil is not really soil. It's going to be peat-based or core-based or maybe even decomposed wood. We don't have to worry about diseases in those pots. We don't have to worry about that material degrading too much. It can be used for many, many years. Now, it is true that slowly over time that material does degrade and the particles get smaller so that it has less air in it and it doesn't drain quite so well. And that may be a problem for your plants. But for many plants, that really isn't an issue. So I hope you've enjoyed these myths. If you follow my advice, you'll grow better house plants, you'll save yourself some money, and growing them will be a whole lot less work.
If you'd like to learn more garden myths, here are some suggestions. Come on over to my website called gardenmyths.com. There are over 700 blog posts there with probably 2,000 different gardening myths. Or you can buy one of my books, Garden Myths, Book 1 and Book 2, and both books are completely different. But if you prefer videos, here's some videos on some more houseplant myths.